What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. It's been a while since I've done a SoundHound video, so I want to go over some of the current data points, what just came out from the company itself, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that said, let's get right to it. So on Friday, it did go down 4.11%, kind of piggybacking off of the broader market's sell-off. 11.9 million shares being traded, 25.3 is the average. And that's been one thing that's really been plaguing SoundHound for a while now, is just lack of institutions really paying attention to it. And my last video on SoundHound, I did say, regrettably, at the time, a lot of the data points were somewhat bearish and that there was going to be more of a pullback. Since then, there's been quite a lot to talk on. So they did have their shareholder meeting on the 12th. So they did submit a 8K associated to that, going over some of the results, obviously the named directors and whatever else. They also did already issue Form 4s for these directors, I believe on that same day, in fact, of the shareholder meeting. So they gave them roughly, I think it was 33,000 a piece, as you can kind of see right here. So this is one of the Form 4s. There was this one as well. So Marcus Lawrence. So he was awarded 33,000 shares. That was done on the 12th. But at the same time, he did sell some, looks like 50,000 shares, transaction code S. So that is a straight up sell, not associated to taxes itself. And that was done on the 10th. Which of course I do believe Marcus has sold on multiple different occasions. In this actual instance, it was around $4.81. So still not the best. That's been one thing that's really been bothering me with SoundHound, and no doubtably institutions are catching on to that as well. One positive thing that did come out was this right here. So news that came out on the 10th. So it was pretty much right after my video I last did, but it says SoundHound AI announces early debt payoff, robust cash position, and strengthening financial profile. So in here, it looks like they did prepay its outstanding 100 million debt, and by doing so, they are alleviating 55 million in interest payments. So in reality, that is a pretty kick-ass deal. As well, it does say the transaction also freed up around 14 million of restricted cash. So this did prompt a nice spike up. And then of course, CPI came out, Powell since then. So I think in reality, this is exactly what the market did truly want. Like I said, there's been a lot of things that has come out since this news that has been somewhat negative. And when it comes down to SoundHound, as I've said, it is a very big momentum play, squeeze play, and an AI play. So it's kind of a good hybrid stock. And right now, the fear and greed index is at 38. So it's more so under the fear category. So people's appetite for risk isn't necessarily there. So people aren't going to be lining up to buy momentum plays such as SoundHound. So in reality, I absolutely love this news, and the company does need to put out more kind of news such as this. That's not necessarily just fluff, that it is actually substantial. So I think that's a good thing. One thing that you need to keep in mind is just to go over their financials, more so just their cash flow, move this to quarterly. So based on their last earnings, which was as of March 2024, cash from operations 21.9 million. So that's how much they're losing from operations. So of course you have to factor that into how much cash that they do have. So they have a lot. So like I said, that actual PR that did come out is a-okay with me. And once the market realizes maybe I think everything has just been overdone and that we can start to move higher. And once this does move out of the fear category back into the greed, this is where you'll see substantial increases in the price of SoundHound. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Going over some additional information, starting off with what shorts have been doing. So short score is around 78.42, utilization 94.12, 23.1% of the free float is being shorted. So pretty much all-time high levels of short interest. So they are definitely piggybacking off of the broader fear that is in the that's in the market right now. now. 67.18 million shares overall are being shorted. On Friday, shorts did return about 200,000 shares, and then cost to borrow average is 19.75%. So pretty high stuff if you ask me. Going over some options, 414,000 in calls, 294,000 in puts. So in comparison to previous trading days, the dollar value is much lower and kind of matches with the common stock as well. And just as far as the sentiment though, 50% of all the options being done on Friday were optimistic and bullish. And of the call options that were purchased, there's more of a consensus for it to be around 450/5 in the next several weeks. So kind of just watch for these key points. And then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub $4.50. So in my opinion, at least based on this, so options activity is just merely a sentiment. It doesn't move the stock price by any means. But based on this, there is more upside anticipated, at least in the short term. These are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So there was a good roughly about 8 transactions on Friday. Unfortunately, a lot of them were just piggybacking off of the broader fear and selling. So based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price, all of them were sells, and there was one big one as well, so 2.36 million. And then the day prior, it looks like they were all buying. So it's kind of just wish-washy. It's all over the place. One positive thing that I just wanted to share with you is based on the volume, most of the transactions is actually involving institutions. So that is kind of a good thing. Algorithmic trading is not really taking SoundHound for a run as what it has in the past. So I think that's generally a positive thing. You guys let me know your thoughts on that. There hasn't been any recent analyst ratings, as you can kind of see right here. So the last one was done last month. And I would have thought at least one of these analysts would have kind of done a re-rating, especially with what that news that did come out on the 10th, like it being debt free. That is absolutely amazing stuff. So in reality, I don't know, maybe analysts are just focused on some other things, or maybe they're waiting for their upcoming earnings. We'll just have to, I guess, wait and see. There hasn't been any change for any forecasts, whether it be earnings per share, revenue, or any of the other key metrics. So rather quiet coming from institutions. And just right here, latest Morningstar report does show the fair market value for SoundHound being $6.84. So surprisingly, I do believe that it has been raised since the last report, which was I think around low fives. So again, take that into consideration. You guys do your own thing, DD at the end of the day. But looking on the actual chart itself, with it closing at $4.43 on Friday, it is trading between this S1 and this pivot. So 506 is going to be that next strong resistance / target. $4.36 is going to be that next strong support that most likely will be tested early next week. Next week, though, it's going to be a lot of volatility. So on Tuesday, you did have retail sales, a couple Fed speakers throughout the week. So I think largely next week is going to be kind of linked to technicals. And in SoundHound's case, the technicals aren't looking all that great. So it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. You do see it below a lot of the key pivotal moving averages. So both the 100 and 50. Stochastic, you do see a very minor bearish deviation, as well as it is at 10. So I think all in all, it is considered oversold. So once this does change, or whether the company puts out some substantial pieces of news, you could see momentarily a rush of value investors getting into SoundHound, as what happened with this news on the 10th. And then when it comes down to this right here, looking at the momentum indicator, shows number of retail investors have been selling out, and have been, looks like, selling out ever since around the 20th, May the 20th. So I don't know. I think at this stage in the game, just the situation between the broader market and what SoundHound is putting out isn't really jiving. So hopefully the market does kind of settle with either rate cuts sooner rather than later, aka I think it's consensus to be around September, and the company does continue to put out good pieces of news such as this, and hopefully insiders stop selling, then you will see SoundHound start to kind of break out once again. Until then, I do feel that right now SoundHound is just going to be kind of piggybacking off of the negativity in the broader market and possibly selling off. So if it does break below this point right here of this S1, then it is going to trade between this S2 and this S1. So $3.93 might be the next stop for SoundHound. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think that SoundHound is a squeeze play? Do you think that it's going to kind of break out, and potentially why? Why do you think the SoundHound is going to break out? Do you think that they're going to put out some substantial pieces of news, or do you think that institutions are just going to start paying attention to it a little bit more? So what's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. Happy Father's Day, everyone. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.